Okay, ready.
Hello, hello, hello. There we are. Welcome. Thank you.
That was great.
Thanks. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. I
Hey,
can put
Mark.
my glasses on so I can see people.
Me too.
So I guess I
Hi.
should tell everybody before we start. This is being recorded. We will post it on the Music for Good site, omuseum.org, Music for Good site, and you know, may even take a clip or two if there's something really, really exciting going on. And I hope that's okay with everybody.
Yeah, you're kind of low, Susie, to us, but I don't know about everybody else.
Usually I'm very loud, but did you hear what I said?
Whoa. Sort of.
Oh, okay. Well, usually I'm very loud. I'll get closer.
All right.
How's that? Any better?
Okay, we'll make it work. We'll make it work. Yeah.
Wait a minute. See the microphone. How's that? Is that better?
That's better. That's better.
Okay, good. All right. So anyway, what we're gonna do is I'll start out with a question or two for Bill and Bruce, and then you guys feel free to chime in and ask whatever you want. How's that?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna start out with Bruce. Okay, Bruce, I've been reading a lot about you getting ready for this this show, and I'm really kind of curious. I know that you've had an affiliation with Tommy James. Like he wrote a song for your band, Live and Kickin' a long time ago.
Yeah.
You know, the tighter song that I
Yeah.
really like. And then also you wrote a song with him that was, you
Yes.
know, in
Yeah.
1969, that was a pretty big hit. So
Yeah.
can you just tell me the story about how that all came about?
So I had a band while I was in high school and college. I would play in clubs all around the tri-state area of Brooklyn, New York, Connecticut, New Jersey. And at this particular time, I was going to St. John's University in Queens, and my band, Alive and Kickin', was the house band at a club called the Cheetah, which was on 52nd Street, just off 8th Avenue. And we would play 6 nights a week, 5 sets a night. And through some kind of connection of our manager and somebody else, this man, Tommy James, who at that time was at the peak of his career. He had songs like Hanky Panky, I Think We're Alone Now, Moni Moni, you know, he was the man of the moment, you know, and somehow he came to the club and saw the band, and I was just, you know, this young kid wanted to be a songwriter, and so on my breaks from playing in my band, I would go around. He lived around the corner on 8th Avenue in the apartment house between 53rd and 54th at the time, and I would take on my breaks from playing at the club. I would run around the corner and go to his apartment and try to write songs with him, and you know, this one particular time. You know, I got to be a part of a song which was called Ball of Fire, which became, at that time, it was a top 10 song. And it was it was at that time I got signed to BMI, which is a songwriter organization. And you know, he would bring me to the studio. He used to record at the studio in the basement on 52nd Street. It was called Allegra Sound Studios. So I would, you know, it was my first time actually to be in a recording studio, because in those days it wasn't possible to record as easily as you can now. There was no recording device, and it was expensive to get in the studio. So he was my mentor. He brought me in the studio. I watched him make records and learned, and then the following year he produced my band and wrote a song for us called Tighter, Tighter, and he goes, hold on, just a little bit tighter now, baby. Love you so much and I can't let go. So maybe that you'll recognize it from that sort of, if you remember, and that's how I got started in the music business. It's all because Tommy, and he mentored me, and he remains a good friend to this very day. Did I answer the question?
Yes, you did. You did.
Great
It was a
story.
very nice story.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so Bruce, Bill, I want to ask you a question. I've known you for quite a long time, and it seems to me that whenever I'm around you, and all the people that have been on your records, by the way, it seems like you know everybody. You know, like every musician that's ever been, anybody around the New York area. And I'm just wondering, how did you get involved in, just the music business? I mean, and also I should mention just what a wonderful strings player. You know, just how to play every kind of strings instrument. I think you're like the only person, and I've seen a lot of bands in my life dealing with feedback. I don't know if you remember, we were up in New York. It was, I can't remember that place in near Rye, or Rye Brook that you used to play at. And there was all this feedback, and everybody starts freaking out, and you're just sitting there with your, wasn't a guitar, it was your mandolin, and you're lifting it up and down, playing the feedback. I'm like, oh my God, that's so crazy. That's so, I've never heard, I've seen a lot of bands. Usually feedback freaks them out. Anyway, but I just want to know, first of all, how you got into it, how you got into songwriting, what were your influences, and how the hell did you find, know all these people? I mean, not that you're not good, but I mean, geez, you just know everybody.
How did I get here? I mean, meeting you and Bruce and Ted, and it's by saying, I mean, by saying yes, I mean, that's the big one. Having the nerve to ask people to play with you, sometimes it's so I mean, sure, it just goes, but it's fun. I hadn't thought about it in a long time, and it was Bruce kind of asked me a little bit of the same question, and I'd been a musician all my life. I'd played, guitar mostly, but I played a little piano as a younger guy and kid, and then I sang in musical theater with an adult group. It was a professional. It wasn't Broadway, but they were Broadway actors and directors. So I worked under them when I was about 10 until I was 12 in a couple of productions. And so I got some of that training as a kid, and then just the music thing. It was really, I've been playing, but I didn't really consider it. I didn't really have the idea to have it as a job or to do it. I just did it in my room mostly. And then it was later in my life. I was 25, on my 25th birthday. I was getting jobs as a musician. I had gotten a job working as the guitar playing music, setting scenes for the National Theater of the Deranged, which was a comedy improv group in San Francisco. The few, the proud, the deranged was their motto. And then I'd also been playing. I played bass in a Middle Eastern belly dance troupe. So I had some odd gigs, some very interesting, and we played, a couple of really interesting shows, and it was kind of like just what I did. But then I thought, oh, I could do this as a job, and then I started to connect with other musicians, and I kind of made a decision to always try to play with people better than myself. I mean, always play with anybody and be open to playing, but just work with to get better. Somebody put it to me as like playing basketball. You play up. You just try to or math. You want to get better at math. You work with people that are better at math. So it was just there's been a few pivotal people that I met. One was Susan Collins, who was a singer in New York, and we became friends through a mutual friend when I was living in New Jersey, and she had written a hit called, what was it? It was a hit.
Hold on, it's a little bit tender.
You're right. No, that was your hit. But Susie was a Brooklyn girl, and she worked with a lot of. She was a jingle singer, a session singer, and we wrote a song together. And she introduced me to Hugh McCracken and Will Lee and Bette Sussman and Paul Schaefer, and I got to have them watch them. I didn't play with them, but I watched them record one of my songs. And I just people that were generous with what they had and were willing to connect me. And I've always tried to do that too. I always like connecting people. I think it's a great I've been a great privilege to help connect people. That's just the networking as not as a sort of a calculating, just an opportunistic thing to get ahead, but as a way to make a better world, or make a better, make the chemistry set of humanity and try to bring people together. So that's the side road of what you asked me. You lost your.
I like the side roads. The side roads are always very interesting, sometimes more interesting than the main road.
Yeah.
Anyway, does anybody else have any questions? I don't want to take up all the, oh, Ted, you go ahead.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Ted.
Thank you for the history lesson. That was very nice. Let's flash forward to today. Back any time before the internet, it was a little easier to make money. If you're a songwriter, you'd get that mailbox money, you get residuals and so forth. Today, it's a little bit more difficult because of streaming. What do you do today? How do you make a living today? I mean, is it just going out on the road?
Well, I mean, for me, I'm fortunate because I have a history that supports me, and it allows me the freedom to come here and do this, and to put myself in situations of community, because that's really what I like about this. I was saying to Bill earlier that I've played my whole life, and it's really only these last 2 years where I've really been isolated as everybody else has, and I got to a certain point in that time span where I really missed just playing with other people and that community of, and that's why when Bill and I earlier this afternoon were fooling around with that Delphonic song, I was like, this is fun. This is part of what we love, fool around, find a way, find a note, and create your own individual little moment of magic and community, and spread that, So I'm that's my story to answer that question somehow. Europe.
Yeah, for me, I mean, it's the way I put it is, I did a gig one time with this great childhood friend of mine that was a fabulous musician we lost. It was named Andy Gessling, and we had just finished a set at some restaurant bar, and a woman came up and said, "You guys are great. Do you do this for a living?" And Andy just goes, "Well, it's more of a lifestyle." That was, and I was like, "Yeah, that was kind of it." I was like, so it's because I mean, I've always been able to, fortunate to play. I've played in some shows where I was doing the CSN tribute show, as you know, and that was like a job as a musician, as a singer. It was like the first kind of real job, that was, the other gigs have been, just $100 bar gigs, maybe a couple $100. I don't know if I've made some money, and then I've had some publishing where I've, sold a couple songs, and that, especially earlier, it used to be more, the syncs paid better. That's gone down considerably. And
so all that to say is that it is harder for musicians these days to earn money just writing songs, and you really have to try and get out on the road and do it that way, but there is a way to do it. There are people who are doing it. It's not, I think, the dust is starting to settle now with this whole streaming thing, and the conversion of what was to what is, and people are finding new ways, and to monetize things a little bit better. And I'm hopeful that it will continue to improve on that side of it.
Speaking of songwriting, here's one for you that's going to really rack your brain. What's that one song that constantly comes in your head that you wish you would have written?
Well, I mean, this just is only because my answer is going to be right off the top of my head. You know, my daughter has a band called Johnny Swim, and they just put out a single, and the song is called Devastating. And I don't usually have songs that just like stay with me to where I'm waking up in the morning and it's in me. And and the thing about this song is that it's such a unique perspective of how they looked at their love. Because Johnny Swim is my daughter and her husband; they're a duo, and the song is basically saying that you know, I'm gonna love you until you die. You know, and one of the lines is ring on my finger, tag on my toe. You know, and then we made it. You know, and I was like, wow, that's such an interesting way of a love story, of a love song. I don't know that I've ever recognized that angle before. So that's my answer for now.
Yeah, and mine is always, playing a Beatles song. I'm like, oh, do I wish I don't even wish I wrote one. There's, there's so many. There's just, so many great songs. And I mean, a Tom Petty song would be, I don't know, Southern accents or, one of the hits. They're not always the hits. Yeah.
What's your favorite song, Ted?
Well, a favorite song, so oftentimes you hear a line or two, and it's those perfect lines, But the songs that really get me are the ones that just flow right through you. You talk to the songwriter, and he said, "I didn't write that song."
Right.
It just came right out, and those are the most perfect songs, and
Yeah.
where every line fits. Every line is right, every word is correct. Speaking of songwriting, Jackson Brown comes here often, and we have a baby grand that's great. You're probably looking at it right now in that room. And he was here and he was playing Fountain of Sorrow, one of my favorite songs. And he was working through the song 40 years later. And he's constantly working through those same songs. And that's how he writes them. He constantly wants to make it as perfect as possible.
Yeah.
That's one way to do it, but the ones that just flow right through you. And it happens to every songwriter. I think Gordon Titcomb, I don't know if you know who he is. He played in Arlo Guthrie's band for a while. He's played all around. He's upstate also, New York. He says, you just throw that line in the water and see what comes downstream. And once in a while you pull something out and it just flows through. Yesterday, Painted Black or Satisfaction, I think, was one of those. People talk about it all the time. So those are the ones that really get it from me, because the songs are perfect. And you know who those people are.
The day that Charlie Watts died, Painted Black was the song that I posted.
Yeah.
But it's always, for me, the creative process of songwriting, people have that process. Everybody has a little different process. You can learn from that, but it's those ones that just come right through you. Just like it, not just songwriting, every artist, everybody. I mean, you're flipping a burger and you hit that, look, I'm a pinball guy. I've been there where the ball can't go down. You're just in tune with that thing. There's something else out there that you're in tune with, and that thing just comes through you. So that's what it's all about for me.
Yeah, that's what we strive for.
Kind of like channeling, kind of like the songs are being channeled. Okay, so is there anyone else has any questions they want to ask Bill or Bruce?
I see other people there. You must have a question. No?
No? Okay, well, I'm gonna have to
You
ask.
want to know why the sky is blue?
Oh, I didn't. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mark, and then Stephen. Okay, Mark, go ahead.
Thank you. My name's Mark, and so my question is, I find sometimes when I'm writing songs, I'll write a verse and another verse and another verse, and the verses keep coming. But as I wait a minute, I've only had like 3 minutes to tell the story. So have you ever come across that when you just have all these lyrics and it's like, well, okay, how have you how have you dealt with that? Like, to weed out the unnecessary detail, how do you get to the essence of what the song really is,
Well, that's it. I mean, it's not that you can't write a long song with a lot of verses. I mean, obviously you can, but you want to try and make it as tight as you possibly can, and as poetic and as connecting and as non-cliche as you can go, and all of that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, Bob Dylan wrote a 16-minute song.
Exactly.
True. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for a question, Mark.
Steven, did you have a question?
Yeah, speaking of bar, hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Speaking of bar gigs, I was curious, do you all have plans, and you may be talking about this weekend, it's a beautiful weekend in the Washington, D.C. area to do so, but I was curious if do you have any plans for any future performances, either together or separately, or just was wondering if those are in the works.
Well, Bruce is heading to LA tomorrow. I hope I see him soon, and I would do this, again in a heartbeat, in any capacity. I was supposed to go to Texas in 2 weeks, but that got canceled. So it was going to be 8 shows, I believe, that we were going to do with a band that I work with, and that's been delayed. So I mean, everything's up in the air in terms of gigs and shows, and some are persevere. It depends. It's very much up in the air.
Yeah. So personally, I'm kind of waiting till next year to see what happens. A lot of tours are being canceled. It costs a lot of money to start up a tour generally, and you don't want to get out there and then 3 days later somebody gets sick, God forbid, or whatever, and you got to shut everything down, and so it's been an iffy situation, but at the same time, like, I do know that Jackson Browne and James Taylor have been out, for a bunch of weeks now, and I don't think they've had any issues. So, I guess it's kind of the luck of the draw. You do the best you can, and but I'm just personally waiting a little bit until things calm down a little bit more. And
Right.
Yeah, I guess the fact that you guys are on 2 sides of the country, like,
yeah, well, no, I mean, Bill and I would be happy to hook up and play a bunch of shows together anywhere at any time. We would make a way to do that. So I don't think that's would be a stumbling block. It's just a matter of getting that put together and it being able to happen. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's it's just the conditions, are not super favorable. So just taking what we can get and doing what makes sense too. So.
Well, your concert online was a magical experience, and thank you for getting together to do that.
So glad.
Thanks.
Nothing is more simple than just guitars and voices, in my mind.
Yeah.
It's breaking it down, that's for sure.
true. Hey, Mark, did you have another question?
Oh,
You have your hand
thank you both for performing for us this evening, and it means so much to hear you continue to create work and share that with us. It means a lot.
Thank you, Mark.
To us
We
too.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Okay, Ted, go ahead.
Yeah, just speaking about the tours that are out there now, you mentioned Jackson and James Taylor. They are on tour, but they're doing a bubble just like the NBA did. We tried to see Jackson and he texted and said, we'd love to see you, but we can't. If anybody is in contact with somebody, they're off tour for 2 weeks. And that's it. The same with the Stones. The Stones are doing the same thing. They're in a bubble. And it's rough for them because they like going from town to town and seeing their fans and talking to them and interacting with them. And it's just a different world. So let's hope we can fix this thing. And here at the house, while we're still doing these, the virtual shows, we'd love to do live shows. We just can't do it at this time.
Right.
Just got to be safe. That's a smart thing to do.
Well, so we can do it later, and that's the plan.
That and the, of course, there's always the Beatle Jam after show.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's the real event. Okay, so does anybody have any more questions before we wrap this up? Because if not, I have one more.
What you got, Susie?
Okay, my one more question, because I'm surprised Ted didn't ask it. What is your all's favorite Beatles song?
Nowhere Man. Today, at the moment, Nowhere Man. It changes.
Oh, wait a minute, I got that question wrong, but you can answer that song too, Bruce. It's what's your favorite Beatle album?
Mine is Rubber Soul Revolver.
That seems to be the number one answer, I think.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a great record. Abbey Road. Is Abbey Road an okay answer?
Yeah.
Oh, no, they're all great answers. I have a hard time choosing
Can't go
one.
wrong with it with the answer. So.
Okay, so if anybody doesn't have any questions, I want to thank, if you have any more, I don't want to sign off unless.
Why didn't this young lady ask any questions?
H.
I can't see that it's you.
Hi, guys. You were phenomenal today. And I happen to love these virtual shows because I so look forward to the green rooms after and just listening to you talk about your life and your perspectives. And we want you safe, which is why we didn't have any guests tonight. So really, we want you back.
Well, we're here. We love you.
Thanks for everything you
Thanks,
do.
Dave.
Good to see you.
Yeah, it really was a great show. It was one of my favorites. So I thank you guys for coming.
Ciao, everybody.
I thank H and Ted for letting me do this. They are like two of the most phenomenal people I've ever met. And I'm honored to know them. And I'm honored to know you guys. Thank you all for joining. And I think we're going to sign off now.
All right. See you guys. Bye.
All right, great week.